Chapter 2359. Seeing the destructive power of the black atlas snake, everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It was just a casual sweep of the black atlas snake's tail and everything around it was destroyed. It was hard to imagine what would happen to them if they were hit by the tail. Bailey Hongzhuang's origin energy surged out of her body. Her rank 3 Blue Realm aura was fully revealed. She was already at rank 1 Blue Realm. After absorbing the ice-cold fire, her rank 3 Blue Realm had increased by 2 levels. After sensing Bailey Hongzhuang's aura, the black atlas snake immediately locked its gaze on Bailey Hongzhuang. It didn't expect this young cultivator to have reached such a level of cultivation. It even targeted Bailey Hongzhuang as its first target. Boom! Bailey Hongzhuang focused her mind and a pillar of blood shot up into the sky. A bright red barrier enveloped the black atlas snake. The faint smell of blood immediately spread in the air. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Bai Shi. Bai Shi immediately activated his rank suppression ability. The black atlas serpent's strength was forcefully suppressed from rank 5 to rank 3 after the 2 shackles locked onto him. Originally, Bailey Hongzhuang could suppress the black atlas snake's strength by 2 levels when she used the blood aura. However, the black atlas snake was too powerful. Therefore, she could only do it when she and Bai Shi worked together. Not only that, the blood aura could no longer help Bailey Hongzhuang increase her combat strength. Because the black atlas snake's body was too large, the blood aura was used to suppress it. After seeing the effect of this suppression, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but sigh. Sure enough, wicked beasts of this level were abnormal existences. They were more difficult to deal with than cultivators of the same level. However, when this scene fell into the eyes of Long Xianjing and the others, all of their hearts were in a perilous situation. It was unbelievable. Damn, isn't the young palace master a bit too powerful? The black atlas snake's cultivation is being suppressed? Li Yangbing exclaimed. Pei Yifun's jaw dropped. It turned out that Bailey Hongzhuang had so many tricks up her sleeves. It was no wonder that Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation wasn't high among the core disciples, but she was extremely calm when she was cultivating. She didn't even care about the provocation of everyone. After all, the strong never needed to prove their strength to the weak. Young palace master should be using the Blood Qi Tower's inheritance, Blood Qi field, right? Yan Aoshuang keenly discovered this point. In the Shengxian continent, there were very few people who could obtain the blood aura field. However, many people knew the use of the blood aura field. Long Xuanjing's expression changed. Until now, they still didn't know how many trump cards the young empress had. Her strength was too astonishing. Everyone, keep your spirits up. We will cooperate according to the method that young palace master mentioned earlier. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang's figure leaped up, standing in the air. Since breaking through to the blue realm, a cultivator had an additional ability, and that was to stand in the air. The black atlas snake opened its bloody mouth and pounced towards Bailey Hongzhuang. It wanted to swallow this tiny human alive. Bailey Hongzhuang held the colored glaze sword in her hand and used shadow shift to attack the black atlas snake. Ding ding ding. Chapter 2360. To the black snake, Bailey Hongzhuang's body was extremely small. However, there was an advantage to this. Bailey Hongzhuang's body was extremely agile. The black snake felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was like a fly. She kept spinning around in front of its eyes, but it couldn't catch her. It was extremely frustrated. When Bailey Hongzhuang attracted all of the black heaven-raising snake's attention, Long Xianjing and the others quickly circled behind the black heaven-raising snake and attacked its weak points. Against such a humongous creature like the black snake, they had no chance of winning in a direct confrontation. However, they had some experience in ambushing it. Ding ding ding. Everyone's weapons landed on the black snake's weak spot. However, the black snake's skin was too tough. It was like a natural defense. They couldn't break through it at all. The black snake could feel that everyone was scratching its back. However, it didn't care. Attacks that were below the blue realm could do no harm to it. The black atlas serpent's defense is too strong. Our attacks are useless against it. If our weapons can't break through its defense, we'll use our martial arts skills. Long Xuanjing's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. The young palace master had single-handedly attracted all of the attacks from the great celestial snake. If they couldn't even seize this opportunity, it would be too embarrassing. Boom! Bang bang bang! Long Xuanjing and the others unleashed their martial skills without holding back and bombarded the mysterious colossal serpent's weak spots. Even though there was a huge gap between their strength and the Black Atlas serpents, their combined strength was enough to injure the Black Atlas serpent. One had to know that even though their strength hadn't reached the Blue Realm, they were still in the Blue Realm. This was especially true for Long Xuanjing. He was only one step away from breaking through to the Blue Realm. After the black snake sensed the elemental energy fluctuations coming from behind it, it couldn't ignore it anymore. This was because the elemental energy fluctuations were enough to injure it. However, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't going to let the black snake get what it wanted. Her hands moved quickly, and a series of complicated seals appeared. She had been dodging the black snake's attacks and had suffered quite a few injuries. Now that an opportunity to injure the black snake had presented itself, she wasn't going to let it go. Sea of flames. Bailey Hongzhuang shouted coldly, and a sea of fire quickly formed behind her. The raging flames burned wildly, and Bailey Hongzhuang was like a god of fire, her hair curling up, majestic and awe-inspiring. After using this move, Bailey Hongzhuang was forced to retreat. Thinking back to the time when she had unleashed this move during the Battle of the Four Palaces, it had already caused such a great amount of destruction. Now that the 10 of them had unleashed their attacks together, the destructive power could be imagined. If they didn't retreat quickly, they would be severely injured or even killed. The 3 beasts and Bailey Hongzhuang quickly retreated, their hearts sighing. With the increase in Bailey Hongzhuang's strength, the power of the burial of the Sea of Flames was also much stronger than before. The black snake's body was huge. Even though it had predicted the danger, it couldn't retreat as fast as Bailey Hongzhuang. Boom boom boom. Chapter 2361. Bailey Hongzhuang retreated for over 100 miles before stopping. She looked at the sky and saw that the elemental energy in the air was being stirred up and crackling. Sparks flew in all directions from afar. Different colored elemental energies gathered together, accompanied by the furious roar of the Black Atlas snake. Roar! The Black Atlas snake was furious. It had underestimated this group of humans and allowed them to injure it. In fact, ever since the Black Atlas snake had been placed in the swamp, it had never seen any human cultivators. That was because the path that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were taking had never been taken before. Therefore, the black snake thought that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were just ordinary cultivators. He didn't expect them to be so strong, making him suffer a loss. Wow, Master, the power of your combined attacks is really amazing. Xiao He looked at the swamp that had been destroyed by the flying sand and sighed. They were in a forest, but the trees in front of them had all been destroyed. All that was left was a barren land. The area within a radius of 100 miles was directly cleared by their attack. However, Bailey Hongzhuang was not happy about it. The skyscraping black serpent's defense is amazing and it's powerful. Even though it's injured, it's still strong. When Bailey Hongzhuang retreated, the Black Atlas snake also had some time to retreat. However, it was inevitable that it would be injured. Master, as long as we can break through the Black Atlas snake's defense, it will be much easier for us to attack it. Xiao Bai said. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded, that's right. As the dust settled, the trees were no longer blocking their vision. It was clear at a glance. The ground in front of him had already cracked inch by inch. The swamp was also covered with dust and broken wood, covering everything. Bailey Hongzhuang stood motionless in the same place, looking for the great black snake in the barren land. On the other side, Long Xuanjing and the others were also puzzled. A monster like the Black Atlas snake was not easy to kill. They just did not know how effective the attack was. At this moment, the Black Atlas snake roared angrily. Roar! Then, the mighty black serpent jumped out from the ruins and looked around angrily. The black scales on the Black Atlas snake's body had been blown away. The wounds that were exposed were burned black by Bailey Hongzhuang's flames. There was a large pool of blood on the ground. Seeing this scene, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly curved into a smile. The effect of this attack was very good. She was very satisfied. The great black snake angrily looked for Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was just a moment of carelessness and was seriously injured. If it didn't eat this group of people, how could its anger be appeased? Bailey Hongzhuang jumped and appeared a few hundred meters away from the black atlas snake. Everyone, do your best. Kill this black atlas snake and we will get the treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was loud and clear. Victory was in sight. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the Limitless Palace cultivators were shocked. Chapter 2362. Master, you have to be careful. The black atlas snake is enraged. Its attack power will be terrifying. Baisher warned. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. I understand. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and Baisher were talking, the black atlas snake opened its mouth and spat out a black mist towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Master, the mist is poisonous. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure flew, her shadow shifting to the extreme. Only then was she able to avoid the great black snake's mist. After Bailey Hongzhuang left, she realized that the sand on the ground was corroding. It was obvious how terrifying the poisonous gas was. The other cultivators shuddered when they saw this. They did not expect the black atlas snake to have such a trick up its sleeve. The swamp was a place where poisonous gas and dirty gas gathered. The black atlas snake had been in such an environment for a long time. Naturally, it had mastered the poisonous gas. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. It would be even more difficult to deal with the black atlas snake now. I will continue to attract the black atlas snake's attention. Everyone, end the battle quickly and attack its wounds. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was loud and clear, reminding everyone. This was the only way. Once the black atlas snake used its poison, she would have to retreat. Such a terrifying poisonous gas would corrode a person's body in an instant. As the voice of Bailey Hongzhuang fell, Long Xianjing and the others also began to move. They all knew that in the face of such a mysterious sky-raising snake, even if the young palace master used all his skills, he would not be able to delay it for long, so they had to hurry. However, the black atlas snake knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were going to attack it. Before, he had already been injured by Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' attacks. Now, he would never give them the slightest chance. The black atlas snake ignored Bailey Hongzhuang's harassment. It turned around and spat out a mouthful of poisonous gas towards Long Xianjing and the others. Seeing this, Long Xianjing and the others quickly retreated. They were afraid that they would be infected. The black atlas snake was very happy when it saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were affected by the poisonous gas. It kept swinging its tail. Once Bailey Hongzhuang and the others got close, it would spit out the poisonous gas. The reason why the black atlas snake was so famous was because its poisonous gas was invincible. No one could attack it from close range. From this point alone, it was already in an invincible position. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had already gathered together. Seeing the black atlas snake's fighting style, everyone was speechless. This guy's fighting style is completely shameless. Yan Ao Shuang's face was filled with indignation. Originally, they had thought that victory was within their grasp. Who would have thought that this fellow would have such a method, causing their attacks to be useless? Bailey Hongzhuang was also speechless. At such a distance, even if they used their martial skills, the black atlas snake would still be able to dodge them. This was too shameless. I was wondering why cultivators hated the black atlas snake the most. On one hand, it is because this guy is too strong. On the other hand, it is because of its fighting style. Are we going to continue to waste time here? Demonic beasts were different from them. They had more strength and yuan qi than them. If they continued to waste time like this, they could only waste time. Chapter 2363. Master, this guy's poison is too strong, and the area it sprays is too wide. It's too difficult to deal with it. Xiaohei shook her head. This kind of monster with such an abnormal talent was just like a tortoise. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyebrows were tightly knitted. Now they had completely offended this guy. If they couldn't solve this guy today, then it would be impossible for them to cross this swamp. Therefore, they had to defeat this shameless guy today. As a high-level monster, it had no moral integrity at all. How could they not teach this guy a lesson? For a moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others fell into deep thought. They couldn't get close to it, and their long-range attacks couldn't achieve any effect. How could they deal with this black atlas snake? Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up, and a smile slowly appeared on her face. It seems that we can only use some shameless methods to deal with this kind of shameless guy. Bailey Hongzhuang was full of smiles. She had forgotten that she had another trick up her sleeve. Long Xianjing and the others suddenly heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words, and their eyes immediately locked onto Bailey Hongzhuang. Their faces were full of anticipation. Young Palace Master, what method do you have? They had thought until their brains broke, but they still couldn't think of a way to deal with this black atlas snake. They didn't know what method the young Palace Master had thought of. At this moment, everyone was full of admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang. Every time they didn't know what to do, Bailey Hongzhuang always seemed to be able to think of a way. Didn't this guy not let us get close to it? Then we won't get close to it. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a cunning light. She had followed Mistress for so long, and it wasn't for nothing. She still had some of the explosives she made in the past. Coincidentally, the black atlas snake was spitting out the black fog very happily. At this time, she would give the black atlas snake a big gift. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in confusion. They didn't understand what Bailey Hongzhuang meant. Don't get close? If they didn't get close enough, they wouldn't be able to inflict any significant damage on the Black Colossus. In the next second, Bailey Hongzhuang took out the explosives from her Chaos Ring. Because the scope of the Primordial Chaos Ring was much larger than the Chenkuan bag, Bailey Hongzhuang usually put everything in the Primordial Chaos Ring, and now it was very convenient to find it. Young Palace Master, what is this? Yan Aoshuang could not help but ask. Explosives. Explosives? The moment he said that, everyone looked at each other in dismay. Everyone in Limitless Palace knew that the Palace Mistress liked to make explosives. Who would have thought that the young Palace Mistress actually had explosives on her? Could it be that these explosives were given to the young Palace Master by the Palace Mistress? He still remembered that a few days ago, there was a time when the Palace Mistress made an explosive that shocked the entire Limitless Palace. If it was such a powerful explosive, it might really be able to achieve unexpected results. However, everyone didn't know that the explosive that Bailey Hongzhuang took out at this moment was much more powerful than the one that Nangong Wu had caused a commotion earlier. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. This guy seems to have been hungry for a long time. It's just nice to give it some food. Chapter 2364. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone nodded. They still remembered the power of the explosives. If they were caught in the blast, it would be as powerful as the Black Atlas Snake's tail. When the Black Atlas Snake saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were stunned, it was extremely pleased. Previously, it was only injured because of its carelessness. Now, it was going to eat these puny humans one by one. However, at this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's figure suddenly approached it. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang still dared to attack it, the Black Atlas Snake was surprised. However, the first person it wanted to eat was Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure flashed, and when she was close to the Great Heaven Black Snake, the Great Heaven Black Snake had yet to spit out its black fog. Bailey Hongzhuang stood in the air with her hands on her hips, looking at the Great Heaven Black Snake provocatively. The Black Atlas Snake was already human. When it saw that Bailey Hongzhuang dared to provoke it, it was extremely angry. In the next second, the colossal black serpent opened its mouth wide and spat out a mouthful of poisonous gas. The moment Bailey Hongzhuang saw the Black Atlas Snake open its mouth, she threw the explosives in her hand into its mouth without hesitation. The Black Atlas Snake did not know what Bailey Hongzhuang was going to do. When it saw the thing thrown at it, it was too late for it to close its mouth. Gulp! The Black Atlas Snake swallowed the explosives directly into its stomach. Everyone retreat. Seeing that she had achieved her goal, Bailey Hongzhuang used Shadow Shift to escape. Long Xianjing and the others had already distanced themselves from the Black Atlas Snake. They were worried that the Black Atlas snake would be suspicious of them, so they did not dare to make their movements too obvious. When they heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words, they all ran as fast as they could. The sky-high black serpent was confused when he saw the tiny humans running away as if they had seen the god of plague. However, it soon found out what Bailey Hongzhuang had done to it. Boom! Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were running away, an earth-shattering explosion rang out. The ground cracked inch by inch, and it was spreading at a terrifying speed. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not dare to look behind them. They could only run as fast as they could. This was because the explosion was too frightening. In the process of running, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but sigh. Luckily, her shadow shift had reached the greater realm. Otherwise, she would not have been able to escape from the explosion. Long Xianjing and the others quickly left. They could hear the huge explosion and the wailing of the great black snake. This wail was the fear of death. It didn't contain any anger, only an indescribable fear and regret. Young Master Shadow, Black Atlas snakes. Fortunately, we escaped quickly. Otherwise, we would have lost our lives. I suddenly feel sorry for the Black Atlas snake. The Black Atlas snake was a demonic beast of such a level. In the end, it was going to die without a corpse. It was really sad. It wasn't until she was far enough away that Bailey Hongzhuang stopped and turned around. Behind her, there was already a fire, smoke, and dust filling the sky. It was like the end of the world. Chapter 2365. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the destructive power in the distance with satisfaction. Her lips slowly curled into a bright smile. It seemed that these explosives could still achieve some unexpected results sometimes. It was better to prepare more of them on a daily basis in case of an emergency. For example, if she encountered the Black Atlas snake, who was famous for his shameless tricks, she would use this method to deal with him. Boss, the power of your explosives is truly incredible. Xiaobai gave a thumbs up. The original problem was solved with just one set of explosives. The Black Atlas snake would never have thought that he would die in such a way. Bai Shi shook his head and sighed. He could guess the Black Atlas snake's plan. However, it could only be said that the Black Atlas snake was unlucky to have met its master. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Another obstacle has been cleared. We can continue moving forward. Long Xianjing and the others came to Bailey Hongzhuang's side and looked at the scene behind them in amazement. Based on the destructive power of the explosives, the Black Atlas snake is definitely dead. Long Xianjing said slowly. As soon as he said that, everyone's faces were filled with excitement. They thought that they would be trapped in this place. They did not expect that everything would be solved so easily. Every time they solved a difficult problem, they would feel an indescribable sense of joy in their hearts. Young Palace Master, the power of your explosives is really too powerful. Pei Yifun's face was filled with joy. When he thought of the Black Atlas snake's clueless expression, he felt that it was very funny. Yes, young Palace Master. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. If the young Palace Master hadn't come up with this idea, they would have ended up in a completely different situation than the Great Black Snake. I just happened to bring the explosives. I did not expect them to be so effective. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. It seemed that bringing more treasures with them was very beneficial. Everyone did not say anything else. However, in their hearts, Bailey Hongzhuang was already a god. With the young palace master leading them, it was as if the gods were helping them. The young palace master was always able to solve the problems that ordinary people couldn't solve at all. They couldn't do anything other than gasp in admiration. As the fluctuations in front gradually subsided, Bailey Hongzhuang said, "Let's go take a look." Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone perked up. Since the black colossal serpent was so hard to deal with, he must have left some treasures behind. The originally flat ground had already cracked inch by inch under the impact of the previous battle. It was like a huge spider web, spreading several meters deep into the ground. It looked extremely terrifying. The closer they got to the skyscraping black serpent, the more terrifying the situation became. When everyone returned to their original location, they discovered that the Black Atlas snake had been torn apart by the explosion. Pieces of flesh and blood could be seen everywhere. Fresh blood had already stained the ground red, and there was an unpleasant smell of burnt flesh. The explosion of the explosives in the black atlas snake's body was within everyone's expectations. However, looking at the pitiful corpse in front of them, no one could link it to the majestic black atlas snake from before. Chapter 2366. Yen Aoshuang had already reached the place where the black atlas snake had fallen. However, she did not enter another place like before. Instead, she entered an empty space. Damn! Seeing this, everyone frowned. The black atlas snake was even harder to deal with than the tree demon. If they did not obtain anything after defeating the black atlas snake, wouldn't it be too unfair? Don't tell me there's nothing left? Could it be that the black atlas snake had already eaten all the treasures from before? This setting of the Battle of the Divine Throne is a little too perverse. Everyone was unhappy. They had spent so much effort to achieve this. If they did not obtain anything, it would be too depressing. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze fell upon the swamp. If they did not obtain anything from the place where the black atlas snake had died, then the only place where there could be treasures would be in the swamp. However, what kind of treasures would live in the swamp? Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. The swamp would only give birth to filthy things, not treasures. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest were deep in thought, suddenly, there was a sound of movement. Hearing this sound, everyone could not help but look in the direction of the sound. All they saw was a stone bridge suddenly appearing in the swamp. As if it had appeared out of thin air, it suddenly pierced through the entire swamp. In the middle of the stone bridge, there was a stone platform with a brocade box placed on top of it. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest could not help but look at each other. Their faces were filled with joy. It seemed that their judgment was right. After killing the black atlas snake, there would be treasures appearing. The black atlas snake's existence itself was a test for them. Bailey Hongzhuang led everyone onto the stone bridge without hesitation. The stone bridge was extremely sturdy. It was obviously meant to help everyone cross the swamp. Very quickly, everyone arrived in front of the stone platform. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly opened the brocade box on the platform. A stalk of ginseng was quietly placed in the brocade box. A thick medicinal fragrance wafted out, causing everyone's spirits to rise. Isn't this the black snake blood ginseng? Long Xianjing couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. The black snake blood ginseng was an extremely precious treasure. Wherever it grew, there would definitely be a black snake that had fallen. This black snake blood ginseng was bright red because it was dyed red by the blood of the black snake. Not only Long Xianjing, but the others also recognized the black snake blood ginseng. Especially Bailey Hongzhuang, as an alchemist, she was very familiar with these ingredients. The black snake blood ginseng was extremely precious, but its use was not to increase a cultivator's cultivation, but to temper the cultivator's body, making it stronger. When a cultivator's cultivation reached a certain level, their physical strength would also need to be strengthened to a certain extent. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to withstand the explosive power in the later stages of the battle. However, most cultivators' physical strength was much weaker than their martial arts strength. Not only that, but the black snake itself was poisonous. Thus, after consuming the black snake blood ginseng, the cultivator's body would also gain a certain level of immunity to poison. If it was just some ordinary poison, the cultivator could automatically filter it out without causing any harm. Therefore, cultivators coveted the black snake blood ginseng. Chapter 2367. This Battle of Zhuelu is really generous. The black snake blood ginseng is rarely seen even in large-scale auctions. Yen Aoshuang could not help but sigh. For cultivators of their level, their physical strength could not keep up with their cultivation. If they wanted to increase their physical strength before training, it would undoubtedly be a waste of time. Therefore, treasures like the black snake blood ginseng were fought over crazily. Usually, only the heirs of various factions could possess such treasures. As ordinary disciples, it was obviously impossible for them to obtain such treasures. Who would have thought that one would appear in front of them now? Compared to the black snake blood ginseng in front of them, they felt that the test of dealing with the black snake blood ginseng was not too much. After all, the value of this treasure was obvious. After Bailey Hongzhuang saw the black snake blood ginseng, a smile appeared on her face. This black snake blood ginseng was not young. If she refined it with some other herbs, the strength of the 10 of them would be increased. For a rare herb, only in the hands of an alchemist could it be used to its fullest potential. If they simply consumed it, not only would they not be able to use the herb to its fullest potential, but they would also be in danger of exploding. Although everyone was envious when they saw the black snake blood ginseng, no one said anything. In fact, they did not have any say in the distribution of the black snake blood ginseng. This was because the young palace master was the one who dealt with the black snake. Although they had helped a little from the situation of the last attack, even if they did not do anything, the young palace master could have dealt with the black snake. Therefore, they would not have any objections if the young palace master took the black snake blood ginseng. Bailey Hongzhuang picked up the black snake blood ginseng in front of everyone's eyes. Seeing this, everyone sighed in their hearts, but they quickly recovered their smiles. No matter what, it was already a fortunate thing for their team to be able to come this far. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's next words stunned everyone for a moment. It seems that we will have to stay here for a few more days. Once this was said, everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Did the young palace master intend to absorb the black snake blood ginseng here? However, after thinking about it carefully, everyone felt that the young palace master's decision was correct. Participating in the Battle of Zhuolu was in itself a process of constantly improving oneself. After the cultivators obtained treasures, they would immediately replenish themselves. It was the same for the other teams. Only by improving their abilities would they have a higher chance of winning against other teams. I still have some other medicinal ingredients on hand. Just nice, I can refine this black snake blood ginseng into a medicinal pill. When the time comes, everyone will refine it before continuing. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a joyful smile. They happened to be in the black snake's territory. Even if the great black serpent was dead, the other beasts wouldn't dare to come here for a while. Therefore, it was extremely safe for them to stay here for the time being. Other than the cultivators' teams, they did not need to worry about any other dangers. Suddenly, everyone's eyes fell upon Bailey Hongzhuang, wondering if they had heard wrongly. Chapter 2368. However, from the looks of astonishment on everyone's faces, they knew that they did not hear wrongly. Because one person might have heard wrongly, but it was impossible for all of them to hear wrongly. Pei Yifan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. When Bailey Hongzhuang was cultivating in Limitless Palace, he knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had gone to the alchemy hall. At that time, this matter had caused a stir in Limitless Palace, but everyone was not too clear about Bailey Hongzhuang being an alchemist. However, after listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone understood that Bailey Hongzhuang must be an alchemist. Otherwise, she would definitely not say such words. However, the level of pills refined from a treasure like the black snake blood ginseng would definitely not be low. Bailey Hongzhuang was an extremely powerful cultivator, so they wondered how high her attainments in alchemy were. For a moment, everyone had some doubts in their hearts, but no one said anything. For the young palace master to make such a decision, they were already very grateful. Long Xianjing and Yan Aoshuang looked at each other. They did not have any understanding of the young palace master before, and all their understanding came from the Battle of Zhuolu. According to their judgment, the young palace master would never fight a battle without confidence. Since the young palace master had said so, she must have enough confidence. Thinking of this, the two of them had some expectations in their hearts. Such a multi-talented young palace master was really amazing. The palace master was a genius, and they did not expect their young palace master to be such a genius as well. Presumably, under the leadership of the young palace master, Limitless Palace would become better and better. At the very least, they were willing to follow the young palace master. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others found a place to settle down, Bailey Hongzhuang took out her alchemy furnace. She had a lot of alchemy recipes, and the primordial chaos ring had always been rich in medicinal herbs. Bailey Hongzhuang was very confident in her ability to refine pills. I will start refining now. Everyone, pay attention to your surroundings to prevent any sneak attacks. They had already ventured deep into the Battle of Zhuelu and could encounter other teams at any time. They could not afford to let their guard down. Otherwise, if he was ambushed and lost his identity token, it would be terrible. Young Palace Master, don't worry. We will definitely be more careful. Long Xuanjing's voice was low and serious, and it had a kind of convincing power. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Okay. After giving instructions, Bailey Hongzhuang began to refine the pills. The three beasts habitually guarded by Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Their spiritual power was very sharp. Long Xianjing and the rest stood to the side in a daze. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang concoct pills, the suspicions in their hearts had dissipated by quite a bit. From the young palace master's skillful technique, it could be seen that she was extremely familiar with this alchemy technique. Everyone who originally thought that they were extremely outstanding now felt ashamed of their inferiority. Only when they were compared to true geniuses would they realize the difference. No one dared to speak too much, fearing that they would affect Bailey Hongzhuang's alchemy. After Long Xianjing arranged for the guards to take turns, everyone began to do their own things. Those who were guarding, those who were cultivating. Chapter 2369. To Bailey Hongzhuang, this was not a problem for her. Her experience in pill refinement was extremely rich and her mental energy was extremely powerful. Hence, it was not difficult for her to refine the pill at the same time. Of course, one of the reasons for this was that the pill refined from the black snake blood ginseng was not of a very high grade. The reason why it had been refined into a pill was to add in some other herbs to maximize its medicinal properties. Furthermore, the medicinal properties were more gentle so that the cultivator would not feel too much pain when absorbing it. Time slowly passed and the crowd watched as Bailey Hongzhuang concentrated on refining the pill. She was not distracted at all. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang in this state, the crowd sighed in admiration. No matter what the young palace lord was doing, she was always so focused. It was admirable. The process of refining the pill was not short. The cultivators in the group took turns to keep watch nearby. It was a good thing that no one else appeared. Gradually, a medicinal fragrance wafted from Bailey Hongzhuang's pill furnace. Smelling this medicinal fragrance, the crowd's eyes lit up with joy. The pill was about to be refined. Bailey Hongzhuang, who had maintained a calm expression, slowly curled the corners of her lips into a smile. Even though she had not refined pills for some time, her pill refinement skills had long been deeply ingrained in her mind. As long as this pill was refined successfully, everyone would need to spend another 2 days to absorb it. Then, everyone's physical strength would increase. If they were lucky, they might even be able to take advantage of this opportunity to increase their powers. Now, they were a team. Regardless of who in the group, the increase in their powers would increase the power of the entire group. Leader, there's a medicinal fragrance coming from the front. In the distance, a woman's sharp senses picked up the faint medicinal fragrance in the air. Hearing this woman's words, the cultivators in the group could not help but look puzzled. Who would be refining pills in the middle of the battle for the deer? It was already too late for them to search for treasures and snatch identity tokens. Refining pills was a very taxing task. Furthermore, they had to be on guard against any sneak attacks. Choosing to refine pills in the middle of the battle for the deer? Was there something wrong with their brains? However, this woman was very certain. I can guarantee that my judgment is absolutely not wrong. Someone must be concocting a pill, and the grade of this pill is not low. When the leader of the group saw the woman's solemn expression, his expression changed a little. Can you tell what kind of pill the other party is concocting? Since the other party chose to refine the pill in such an environment, I'm sure this pill will be of great use to the entire team. Let me judge. The woman closed her eyes and carefully sniffed the medicinal fragrance in the air, trying to determine the ingredients from the smell. A moment later, the woman opened her eyes. Her eyes were brighter than before. Captain, I'm unable to determine what kind of medicinal pill this is, but I'm certain that this medicinal pill contains an extremely precious medicinal ingredient, black snake blood ginseng. As the woman's voice fell, the expressions of all the cultivators in the group changed. Originally, they didn't take this matter to heart at all. They just thought that with the appearance of a team, they could go and snatch the identity cards again. Chapter 2370. The black snake blood ginseng was a huge treasure to cultivators. No matter what kind of pill the other party was refining, as long as there was the black snake blood ginseng, they could guess the effect of the pill. Are you sure? The leader looked at the woman who spoke. The black snake blood ginseng was a treasure with a high value. Even in the Battle of Zhuolu, it was hard to imagine that it would appear. Could it be that the other party had obtained the black snake blood ginseng here? Leader, I'm sure. The woman nodded. The other party's pill is about to be refined successfully. If we go over now, not only can we snatch the identity token, we can also snatch the pill. When she said that, everyone's face was filled with excitement. If they could snatch the pill, wouldn't their strength increase by a few points? The leader's face also revealed a smile. Since that's the case, what are we waiting for? As Bailey Hongzhuang's pill gradually took shape, the medicinal fragrance became stronger and stronger. Ding! Finally, following a crisp sound, Bailey Hongzhuang knocked on the lid of the furnace. The lid flew up into the air. Bailey Hongzhuang then took out a white porcelain bottle and poured all the pills into it. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the pills in the white porcelain bottle. There were a total of 10 pills, not one more, not one less. Young Palace Master, you've successfully refined the pill? Yan Aoshuang walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side and congratulated her happily. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Our luck is not bad. There are exactly 10 pills. Let's absorb them later. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the disciples of Limitless Palace all revealed a happy smile. It was great that they followed the young Palace Master out. They had reaped a lot of rewards along the way. Now they were only glad that the young Palace Master had come with them. Otherwise, the situation would have been much worse. The Palace Master had found such a powerful successor. As disciples of Limitless Palace, they felt proud. However, just as everyone was immersed in joy, Bailey Hongzhuang's ears twitched. The joy on her face disappeared and was replaced by a solemn expression. It seems that an uninvited guest has come. Hearing this, Long Xianjing and the others began to observe their surroundings. If someone were to suddenly approach them at this time, it was very likely that they were here for their pills. The appearance of the other party at this time undoubtedly made everyone very unhappy. Bailey Hongzhuang kept the pill into her primordial chaos ring. Fortunately, the other party only appeared after she finished concocting the pill. Otherwise, this black snake blood ginseng would have gone to waste. The other party's movements were extremely small, but after Bailey Hongzhuang's reminder, Long Xianjing and the others quickly determined the situation. Since you're already here, there's no need to hide. Just come out. Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. She looked at the trees in the distance with certainty. Even if the other party's ability to hide was not bad, her judgment was not weak either. She had already determined the other party's position. When the other party saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had already discovered him, he no longer hid and walked out of the forest. I was wondering which team was refining pills here. So it's Limitless Palace. Chapter 2371. As the woman's voice fell, the cultivators behind her began to laugh, as if the actions of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were unwise. The moment Bailey Hongzhuang saw the woman in front of her, her face instantly turned gloomy. His eyes, which were as deep as a pool, flickered with a cold luster of hatred. It was terrifyingly deep and quiet. Under her sleeves, Bailey Hongzhuang's hands gradually clenched into fists. Her knuckles turned white and her veins popped out. It could be seen how powerful she was. This was the first time she saw the face in front of her. However, this face had appeared countless times in her dreams. This person was none other than her irreconcilable enemy, Lan Qingyan. This woman who destroyed her family and plundered everything that belonged to her. Now they finally met. When Long Xianjing and the rest heard Lan Qingyan's impolite ridicule, their faces were filled with anger. Although Limitless Palace had not been established for long, the strength that Limitless Palace had displayed was not something that could be ignored. Now, this person actually dared to use this to ridicule them. Wasn't this too much? I was wondering which team was so arrogant and condescending. So it's the famous Lan family. No wonder, no wonder. Yan Aoshuang was not someone who would allow others to bully and humiliate her. Although the other party came from the famous Lan family, the disciples of Limitless Palace could not weaken the reputation of the sect. In fact, compared to the disciples of the sect, the aristocratic families were much more arrogant. Moreover, Lan Qingyan had been famous since young. Since young, she had always looked down on others. Regarding this point, they had long understood. As an expert and the next patriarch of the Lan family, this kind of arrogance was extremely normal. However, now that it had landed on the disciples of Limitless Palace, they would not back down so easily. After the cultivators of the Lan family heard Yan Aoshuang's words, their faces became gloomy. Compared to the ordinary families, their Lan family belonged to the ranks of the gifted. This was because the other families did not have the inheritance of the rainbow pearl. It was precisely because of this that their Lan family was one of the best even among the aristocratic families. The other party was just a small sect that had just risen up. Moreover, when their Lan family expressed their goodwill to Limitless Palace, the palace master of Limitless Palace actually rejected them. This was undoubtedly a slap to their face. Not only that, after being rejected by Limitless Palace's palace master, before their Lan family could even express their anger, Limitless Palace's palace master directly expressed that he didn't like the Lan family. In the future, Limitless Palace wouldn't have any dealings with the Lan family. This was a blatant slap to the face. The Lan family had stood tall in the Shengxian continent for so many years. When had anyone dared to treat them like this? Most people were busy hugging the Lan family's thighs, but this Limitless Palace actually dared to take the initiative to provoke them. Therefore, this enmity had been formed long ago. Now that they had met a disciple from Limitless Palace in this deer-chasing battle, they naturally wouldn't let the other party off so easily. Long Xianjing and the others naturally knew all of this. Although they didn't have any enmity with the Lan clan, because they were disciples of the Limitless Palace, this enmity was unavoidable. Chapter 2372. With these words, Yan Aoshuang and the rest became even more furious. Extermination. The other party actually mentioned extermination the moment he opened his mouth. This was completely looking down on their sect to the extreme. If cultivators from other powers met, even if they would attack, their words wouldn't be so vicious. At this moment, the Lan family and Limitless Palace's cultivators met. It could be said that when enemies meet, their eyes would turn red. At that time, I don't know which family wanted to be on good terms with our Limitless Palace, but our palace lord didn't want to pay attention to them. Now that they're angry out of humiliation, could it be that they want to refute the truth? Long Xuanjing's words were also extremely impolite. He had always respected the palace lord. If not for the palace lord and his wife being so good to them, their strength wouldn't have improved so much. Now that they were out of the sect, everything they did represented the sect. They absolutely couldn't be weak. The Lan family's cultivators' faces were gloomy. This matter was the Lan family's humiliation. Normally, they wouldn't be willing to mention it. Now, the main culprit actually dared to take the initiative to mention this matter. This was simply intolerable. Immediately, the Lan family's cultivators all looked at Lan Qingyan, waiting for her to express her opinion. Lan Qingyan's gaze landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't know why, but the moment she saw this woman, she felt that something was wrong. She didn't know where this feeling came from, but she felt uncomfortable all over, as if she had met her natural enemy. Not only that, Lan Qingyan felt that this woman in front of her was somewhat familiar, as if she had seen her somewhere before. However, after thinking about it carefully, Lan Qingyan dispelled this possibility. Limitless Palace hadn't been established for long. Their Lan family and Limitless Palace didn't have any contact, so it was impossible for her to have seen anyone from Limitless Palace. However, she could feel that the other party's gaze was extremely complicated. It seemed to be a kind of hatred. Just as Lan Qingyan was about to take a closer look, the other party's expression returned to normal, as if Lan Qingyan's eyes were playing tricks on her. In fact, Lan Qingyan had never carefully looked at Mu Lingbing. Ever since she was sensible, She knew that Lan Yunxiao and Mu Lingbing were imprisoned. However, she didn't care about it at all, nor did she have the slightest interest. For a person who had already become a prisoner, it was meaningless to spend more time on her. At the very least, she was too lazy to waste more time on such a person. In all these years, the number of times she had seen Mu Lingbing and Lan Yunxiao could be counted on one hand, and every time she saw them, it was from afar. Moreover, Mu Lingbing and Lan Yunxiao had been tortured for so many years that their hair was disheveled and their faces dirty. If one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't be able to see their faces clearly. In addition, Lan Qingyan didn't care about this at all, so when she saw this face that was extremely similar to Mu Lingbing's, she didn't recognize it at all. If it was Lan Qingyan's mother, Yu Manlan, who saw Bailey Hongzhuang, she would be stunned. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang had shown her true face in the Battle of Zhuolu, Bailey Hongzhuang had not made any special preparations to conceal her identity. However, when she saw Lan Qingyan's unsurprised expression, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that Lan Qingyan did not recognize her. She didn't feel relieved about this. Instead, she felt that it was ironic. Chapter 2373. Even if she didn't understand, Lan Qingyan didn't like Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her. It was as if she was destined to be an enemy. The moment she saw Bailey Hongzhuang, she felt a sense of disgust. The reason why she, Lan Qingyan, was so famous in the cultivation world was because she was powerful and the owner of the rainbow pearl. On the other hand, it was because she was as beautiful as a flower. It could be said that she was both beautiful and powerful. Because of this, the number of men who chased after Lan Qingyan was countless. This also contributed to her arrogant personality. There were many outstanding young men in the world for her to choose from. However, Lan Qingyan's heart was higher than the sky. Before she met the person she truly liked, everyone else was just a plaything for her to use. However, this was the first time Lan Qingyan was defeated by someone in terms of appearance. Even if she didn't want to admit it, the appearance of the woman in front of her really made her jealous. If Yu Manlan was here, she would discover that history was repeating itself. Thinking back, when Yu Manlan married into the Lan family, she was also very well off. Whether it was status, appearance, or power, she was one in a million, making people envious. But ever since Mu Lingbing had arrived, everything had changed. Mu Lingbing's appearance completely crushed Yu Manlan's. This made Yu Manlan's heart feel extremely unbalanced. She was praised since she was young, but later on, everyone's attention fell on Mu Lingbing. Therefore, she wanted to destroy everything Mu Lingbing had. She wanted Mu Lingbing to become a prisoner. She wanted Mu Lingbing to see her, Yu Manlan, take back all the glory that belonged to her. Who are you? Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a burning gaze. Her tone was condescending. She almost instinctively wanted to know Bailey Hongzhuang's identity. However, she also made a decision in her heart. She wouldn't let any woman who was more beautiful than her appear in this world. Later, she would send Bailey Hongzhuang to the Yellow Springs. Wuji Palace, Bailey Hongzhuang. When Bailey Hongzhuang said the sentence, her eyes were gloomy to the extreme. Since Lan Qingyan did not recognize her identity, she would hide for a while longer. When she appeared in the Lan family, she would clearly let everyone know that her real name was Lan Yishuan. Bailey Hongzhuang? Lan Qingyan muttered Bailey Hongzhuang's name, her smile full of ridicule and contempt. Never heard of it. You haven't heard of our young palace master's name, that's because you're ignorant. When Li Yongbing saw Lan Qingyan ridiculing Bailey Hongzhuang, he couldn't hold back the anger in his heart and immediately retorted. The current young palace lord's position in their hearts was no less than the palace lord's. How could they allow Lan Qingyan to humiliate him like this? Young palace master? After knowing Bailey Hongzhuang's identity, Lan Qingyan's expression turned serious. She looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with more respect. She only thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was an ordinary disciple of Wuji Palace. She didn't expect that she was the young palace master of Wuji Palace. Her identity was completely different. Previously, she had not heard any news about the young palace master of Wuji Palace. Even when Wuji Palace participated in the Battle of Zhuolu, the leader was only a disciple. Chapter 2374. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Lan Qingyan coldly. She and Lan Qingyan only had a simple interaction, but she already understood Lan Qingyan's arrogant and insolent personality. It seemed that the Lan family had spent all their resources on Lan Qingyan all these years, and it had contributed to Lan Qingyan's personality that made people unhappy. Coincidentally, looking at Lan Qingyan like this, she felt even more disgusted. Bailey Hongzhuang, right? Lan Qingyan sized up Bailey Hongzhuang with an insolent smile on her lips, as if she was treating Bailey Hongzhuang as a commodity. As long as you hand over your identity token, the medicinal pills that you just refined, and all the treasures that you obtained from the Battle of Zhuelu, kowtow and apologize to me, and commit suicide to atone for your sins, I will let the other cultivators in your team go. How about it? Her arrogant words were full of contempt, as if it was a reward from a superior to a subordinate, waiting for the other party to kowtow and express their gratitude. Once these words came out, the disciples of Limitless Palace only felt the veins on their foreheads bulging. They had lived for so long, but they had never seen such an arrogant person. They knew that death was a common occurrence in the Battle of Zhuelu, but the other party wanted their young palace master's life. This was too much. For a moment, the disciples of Limitless Palace only felt anger surging up their chests. Their whole body was like a bomb that was ignited. This was unbearable. Lan Qingyan was completely humiliating them all. After hearing Lan Qingyan's words, the cultivators of the Lan family all revealed smiles. Their young palace master had such a temper, but they liked this kind of domineering attitude. Their Lan family's team was already an extremely powerful existence in the Battle of Zhuelu, not to mention that the one leading them was the young palace master who possessed the rainbow pearl. Back then, Limitless Palace had humiliated their Lan family and should have been punished long ago. Now that they had coincidentally met the other party's young palace master, if they could take the life of this young palace master, then the face that their Lan family had previously lost could be completely recovered. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips also curled into a cold smile. Her ink-black phoenix eyes flickered with a cold and sharp light. I'll give you a chance. Do what you said just now and I'll spare the lives of the cultivators in your team. Otherwise, I'll kill you without mercy. Lan Qingyan's arrogant words had provoked Bailey Hongzhuang's anger. She was now the young palace mistress of Limitless Palace. Both parties were on equal footing. Now, Lan Qingyan actually dared to speak such nonsense to her. If she didn't teach Lan Qingyan a lesson, wouldn't it weaken the prestige of Limitless Palace? When Lan Qingyan heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words, she couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then she laughed out loud. Ah, that's really interesting. I, Lan Qingyan, have lived for so long, yet no one has ever dared to say such words to me. That's because you haven't seen the world, Bailey Hongzhuang said coldly. When these words came out, Lan Qingyan was once again stunned. Her face could no longer maintain the indifferent and unconcerned expression from before. This was because Bailey Hongzhuang's words made her unable to continue. On the contrary, the disciples of Limitless Palace gave a thumbs up to Bailey Hongzhuang in their hearts. The young palace mistress was indeed the young palace mistress. Even her ability to choke people with words was not something that ordinary people could compare to. Chapter 2375. Looks like you're not willing? Lan Qingyan's voice had a hint of viciousness. She had always been the one threatening others. Today, this woman actually dared to threaten her. It seemed that their Lan family and Limitless Palace were mutually exclusive existences. Today was the perfect opportunity to settle this once and for all. Is the Lan family's young lord such an idiot? Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was full of speechlessness. Did I not express myself clearly enough? In terms of aura, Bailey Hongzhuang was not inferior to Lan Qingyan at all. As the young palace lord of the Lan family, Lan Qingyan was used to being bossy and domineering. Naturally, she created a kind of aura. However, this was only the young lord. Bailey Hongzhuang was the real family lord. She was the person who led the entire Bailey family to glory. How could she lose her aura in front of Lan Qingyan? Of course, at this time, Bailey Hongzhuang was also secretly thinking about what realm Lan Qingyan's strength had reached. Unfortunately, as the future family lord of the Lan family, Lan Qingyan had a lot of skills. As long as Lan Qingyan did not make a move, she would not be able to find out Lan Qingyan's true strength. However, with Bewitching's strength as the standard, there was still a certain gap between her and Lan Qingyan. After all, Lan Qingyan still had the Rainbow Pearl, a treasure that could speed up cultivation and increase strength. "You're courting death." At this moment, Lan Qingyan could no longer maintain the smile on her face. Bailey Hongzhuang did not say a single word, and it could arouse the anger in her heart. She was really abominable. She had never seen such an abominable woman. If she did not personally take Bailey Hongzhuang's life today, she would not be Lan Qingyan. In the next moment, Lan Qingyan's figure moved and directly attacked Bailey Hongzhuang. She wanted to pull out Bailey Hongzhuang's tongue and make sure that Bailey Hongzhuang would never say such words again. Whether it was Limitless Palace or Lan Clan, none of them expected Lan Qingyan to suddenly launch an attack. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Bailey Hongzhuang had been paying attention to Lan Qingyan's situation. Hence, when Lan Qingyan made her move, she immediately reacted. He instantly used fulgurating shadows and dodged Lan Qingyan's attack. Ta-da! Bailey Hongzhuang tapped the ground with her feet and appeared 100 meters away. Bailey Hongzhuang's ink-black phoenix eyes flashed with a shocking murderous aura. Her gaze was as sharp as a knife as she stared at Lan Qingyan. It was one thing for Lan Qingyan to be arrogant and despotic, but who would have thought that she would use a sneak attack? At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang also felt a bit of contempt for Lan Qingyan. When Lan Qingyan saw that Bailey Hongzhuang actually dodged her attack, her face turned ugly. She did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang's reaction to be so fast. One must know that she had used this move to deal with other cultivators in the past, and it had always been 100% hit. It seemed that she still underestimated Bailey Hongzhuang. According to her judgment, Bailey Hongzhuang should be younger than her by a few years. It was impossible for her to be stronger than her. What Lan Clan's young lord? She actually used such a despicable method like a sneak attack. It's really too shameless. After seeing Lan Qingyan's actions, Pei Yifan could not help but be dumbfounded. This was far from the demeanor of a young lord in his imagination. Chapter 2376. Originally, the disciples of Limitless Palace did not understand why their palace master would suddenly express her dislike for the Lan family. Now that they saw the actions of the Lan family's disciples, they completely understood. They also felt disgust towards such a family. Lan Qingyan's sneak attack failed and she already felt very humiliated. Now that she heard Li Yangbing's criticism, her face turned even uglier. She immediately waved her hand and ordered the disciples behind her. "What are you waiting for? Do it." She did not care about the thoughts of the Limitless Palace disciples because from today onwards, this group of people would disappear from the battlefield of the Battle of Zhuolu. There was no one else in the vicinity. Once they killed them, no one would know who had killed them. Of course, to Lan Qingyan, it was not a big deal even if this news was known by others. The enmity between the Lan family and Limitless Palace had already been made clear. In this battle of vying for supremacy, it was normal for teams with enmity to fight each other. There were countless examples of teams being completely annihilated. She could only say that Limitless Palace's luck was not good. It was not easy to find a young palace master, but in her first battle of Zhuolu, she would die in their hands. After hearing Lan Qingyan's call, the Lan family's disciples came forward one after another. Without saying anything, the energy in their body had already surged out. They held their weapons in their hands and were ready to fight. "Leave no one alive." Lan Qingyan said coldly. "Yes." After hearing Lan Qingyan's order, the faces of the Limitless Palace disciples turned gloomy to the extreme. Not only was the Lan family's young master arrogant, she was also vicious and merciless. Once she opened her mouth, she would either exterminate the entire sect or leave no one alive. She simply treated the Limitless Palace as a soft persimmon. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her right hand slightly and said coldly, "Since the Lan family's young master has already made the decision for us, then what are we waiting for?" The Limitless Palace disciples had long been unable to suppress the anger in their hearts. At this moment, after hearing Bailey Hongshuang's order, they all clenched the weapons in their hands. Towards these bastards in front of them, they could only beat them until they were speechless. Exterminate this group of bastards, Xiao He said angrily. Before meeting Lan Qingyan, the three beasts already had a lot of opinions about Lan Qingyan. Now, after meeting Lan Qingyan, their opinions were even greater. At first, he thought that Lan Qingyan was very young at that time and that it was Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan who stole the rainbow's sacred pearl from his master. However, looking at Lan Qingyan now, he was afraid that she was even more annoying than her parents. I really feel that the Lan family must be blind to have chosen such a thing to be their patriarch. Xiao Bai was speechless. Even if Lan Qingyan's strength was very strong, with her arrogant and egotistical personality, who knew how many enemies she would provoke for the Lan family in the future? You brought this upon yourself. Baisher's eyes flashed with a ruthless light. This Lan Qingyan was so rude. She snatched everything from master and still dared to be arrogant here. She was simply abominable. The battle was on the verge of breaking out. Both sides had 10 people. Therefore, almost everyone met their opponent at the first moment. Bailey Hongshuang naturally appeared in front of Lan Qingyan. She had tried her best to chase after Lan Qingyan for so many years. Only now did she appear in front of Lan Qingyan. She also wanted to know the gap between them. Chapter 2377. Boom. The origin energy in Lan Qingyan's body surged like a tidal wave. Bailey Hongshuang's expression changed slightly and became more serious. Blue Realm Level 7. Bailey Hongshuang immediately sensed Lan Qingyan's strength. Even though she already knew that Lan Qingyan was stronger than her, she did not expect her to be stronger by 4 levels. Fortunately, she had absorbed the icy cold fire. Otherwise, with her Blue Realm Level 1 strength, there was no way she could win against Lan Qingyan, who was Blue Realm Level 7. This was the accumulation of aristocratic families' resources. However, this kind of difference in strength was no longer terrifying to Bailey Hongshuang. She started cultivating later than Lan Qingyan by so many years, but now she was able to catch up. Just from this point alone, it could be seen that Lan Qingyan's talent was not comparable to hers. If she was given a little more time, Lan Qingyan would definitely not be her opponent. It seemed that it would not be long before she could openly appear in front of the Lan family. When Lan Qingyan showed her strength, Bailey Hongshuang also showed her strength. Lan Qingyan had always been curious about Bailey Hongshuang's strength. However, Bailey Hongshuang and her both used some kind of method to hide their strength, so it was impossible to determine. However, the moment she understood Bailey Hongshuang's strength, she suddenly laughed out loud. Haha, I was wondering how powerful the young palace master of Wuji Palace was. It turns out that her strength is only Blue Realm Level 3. This kind of strength is not considered powerful in the entire Battle of Zhuolu. She is indeed a small sect that was established not long ago. She came to the Battle of Zhuolu to make a fool of herself. There was a big gap between the strength of the disciples and the successor. Because the successor could obtain the resources of the forces, their strength was naturally much stronger than the ordinary cultivators. The Battle of Zhuolu was a competition between the various forces. The successors competed against each other. The cultivators could never be compared to the successors. Similarly, the successors' strength also represented the strength of the force. Lan Qingyan had been famous since young. Her strength was much more powerful than the successors of the ordinary forces. It could be said that she had been famous for a long time. After the cultivators of the Lan family knew about Bailey Hongshuang's strength, they all laughed out loud. Young master, with your strength, I'm afraid you can finish her in less than 10 moves. She wants to be the young palace master with this little strength? What a fool's dream. Limitless Palace is a trash sect. It's normal to have such a young palace master. However, our young master is good. He's willing to help Limitless Palace get rid of such a useless trash. Chapter 2378. In the face of Lan Qingyan's ridicule, Bailey Hongshuang appeared very calm. She did not get angry because of this humiliation. In fact, she did not know how much humiliation she faced along the way, but this kind of humiliation also made her progress faster. If I'm not wrong, your strength 3 years ago was probably not as good as mine, right? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved slightly. There was a 3-year gap between her and Lan Qingyan. 3 years later, Lan Qingyan was only at the 7th level of the Blue Realm. Thinking about it, Lan Qingyan probably just broke through to the Blue Realm 3 years ago, or even not yet. Once these words came out, Lan Qingyan's expression changed a little. She could see that Bailey Hongzhuang was younger than her, but she did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang was younger than her by 3 years. From the looks of it, if it was 3 years ago, she would only be in the Green Realm at that time. Then, could it be that her cultivation talent was not as good as Bailey Hongzhuang? After thinking about this point, Lan Qingyan's gaze became even more ruthless. Since she knew that the opponent's talent was so strong, if she did not take advantage of this opportunity to strangle the opponent in the cradle, when Bailey Hongzhuang grew up in the future, wouldn't it become a big trouble? Bailey Hongzhuang, so what if your talent is not weak? The current you is destined to not be my opponent. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself for not being born a few years earlier. When Lan Qingyan said the sentence, the veins on Bailey Hongzhuang's temples suddenly burst. What Lan Qingyan said was something that she also regretted. If she was born a few years earlier, then she, Lan Qingyan, would have nothing to do with the Lan family now? At this moment, when Lan Qingyan said these words, it was really indescribably ironic. If I was born a few years earlier, wouldn't you have died in my hands? You should thank the heavens for not treating you badly and letting you live a few more years. In terms of the ability to anger people to death, Bailey Hongzhuang never admitted defeat. What a sharp tongue. But soon, you won't be able to speak anymore. As soon as Lan Qingyan finished speaking, the pressure of a level 7 Blue Realm instantly crushed towards Bailey Hongzhuang. I'll show you how big the gap is between the 7th level and the 3rd level of the Blue Realm. At the level of the Blue Realm, there was a significant gap between each level. The difference of 4 levels was enough to prevent his opponent from unleashing his full strength. Lan Qingyan wanted to use this method to let Bailey Hongzhuang know that the current her was not someone Bailey Hongzhuang could defeat. She absolutely would not allow a girl whose looks and talent did not lose to hers to continue growing. Bailey Hongzhuang felt an earth-shattering pressure, as if a mountain was pressing down on her body. Her movements slowed down, and even the flow of elemental energy in her body was suppressed. Bailey Hongzhuang's entire body seemed to shrink in an instant, and her footsteps became especially heavy. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance, the curve of Lan Qingyan's lips gradually widened. She was not in a hurry to kill Bailey Hongzhuang immediately. She wanted to humiliate Bailey Hongzhuang before she died. However, in the next moment, before Lan Qingyan's smile could fully bloom, it had already frozen. Within the stiffness, there was a trace of ridicule. Boom. Chapter 2379. Kacha. A subtle sound rang out, and a crack appeared in the pressure space that Lan Qingyan spread out. Boom. As Bailey Hongzhuang fully displayed the energy of the blood aura field, Lan Qingyan's pressure space was completely shattered. Blood aura field. Lan Qingyan recognized the method used by Bailey Hongzhuang at a glance and couldn't help but exclaim. For ordinary people, they might not be familiar with the blood aura field, but for the heirs of powerful forces, they were extremely familiar with the use of the blood aura field. When Lan Qingyan's strength reached the Crimson Realm, the clan elders brought her to the blood aura field. With her talent and strength, everyone thought that she would definitely be able to obtain the inheritance of the blood aura field. But the final result disappointed everyone. At that time, she was also full of confidence. Since young, she had always walked smoothly and had never suffered any setbacks. She felt that she was born to be a genius in the limelight. No matter what difficulties she faced in cultivation, they were not a problem for her. However, her first setback was in the Blood Aura Tower. She worked hard for a long time but still couldn't obtain the inheritance of the Blood Aura Tower. At that time, she only remembered that there was a name written on the Blood Aura Tower's record board that was similar to her age, Bewitching. The elders told her that Bewitching was the young lord of Tiangang sect, which made her feel a little better. Thinking back, she stayed in the Blood Aura Tower for a long time until there was no longer any possibility of obtaining the Blood Aura field, then she left. Fortunately, she didn't hear any news of other people obtaining the blood aura field after that, which made her feel a little more at ease. After all, the inheritance of the blood aura field was extremely difficult to obtain. Otherwise, there wouldn't be only a few people who succeeded in the history of the blood aura tower. However, she actually saw the blood aura field on a girl who was younger than her by 3 years. At this moment, Lan Qingyan's eyes turned red. The thing that she couldn't do was actually done by a person she ridiculed. This was simply a slap in the face. Very quickly, Lan Qingyan retracted her shocked expression. She would never let Bailey Hongzhuang know about this. Bailey Hongzhuang ignored Lan Qingyan. After displaying the blood aura field, she urged the energy of the blood aura field to suppress Lan Qingyan's strength. Fortunately, Lan Qingyan did not have any other tricks up her sleeves. In a short period of time, Lan Qingyan's strength was suppressed from Blue Realm Level 7 to Blue Realm Level 5. However, during this process, Bailey Hongzhuang also discovered that the pressure of the blood qi field on different cultivators was different. If the opponent's strength was solid enough, then the blood aura field would only be able to suppress 2 ranks at most. If the opponent's foundation was not solid enough, then the blood aura field could suppress even more. So far, Bailey Hongzhuang had discovered that among all her previous opponents, suppressing Lan Qingyan's strength was the most difficult. Moreover, it consumed a lot of elemental energy. Just from this point, it could be seen that Lan Qingyan's reputation was not undeserved. Her strength was real. Therefore, she had to end this competition quickly. Once the time dragged on, the possibility of their failure would be greater. Chapter 2380. For Lan Qingyan, the most aggrieved thing was not this. Instead, after witnessing the power of the blood aura field, she finally understood how powerful it was. Ignoring the presence of coercion and lowering the opponent's cultivation, this was simply a cheat in battle. Although she had heard the elder mention it before, she always felt that the elder was exaggerating. How could there be such a magical ability in this world? However, after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang use it, she finally understood that the elder was not exaggerating at all. Everything the elder said was true. Not only Lan Qingyan, but the cultivators of the Lan family also changed their expressions when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang use the blood aura field to suppress Lan Qingyan's cultivation to level 5 of the Blue Realm. This kind of ability was too unbelievable. They had never seen the young master suffer such a big loss in the first exchange of blows with the other party. It seemed that the young palace master of Wuji Palace was not a simple character. You think that suppressing my cultivation by 2 levels is enough to deal with me? Lan Qingyan's face was ferocious and full of hatred. What a fool's dream. Bailey Hongzhuang was too lazy to talk nonsense with Lan Qingyan. Every time the blood aura field was maintained, it would consume more of her energy. Therefore, she had to resolve it as soon as possible. Cut the crap. Let's fight. After saying that, Bailey Hongzhuang held the colored glass sword tightly and attacked Lan Qingyan directly. Lan Qingyan saw that Bailey Hongzhuang actually dared to take the initiative to attack her, and the sarcasm in her eyes intensified. She immediately pulled out her long sword to meet the attack. Ding ding ding. The 2 figures were like the wind, and their movements were as fast as lightning. Every move was swift and fierce, wanting to kill the other party. Bailey Hongzhuang knew that Lan Qingyan was a tough opponent the moment she fought with Lan Qingyan. The Lan family had been in Shengxian continent for so many years and had a lot of experience. Therefore, not only was Lan Qingyan's cultivation strong, her physical strength was also outstanding. In front of a cultivator of the same level, it was extremely difficult to fight someone of a higher level. This was because the opponent also had the ability to fight someone of a higher level. Under such circumstances, Bailey Hongzhuang was unsurprisingly at a disadvantage. Sword light overflowed in all directions and sparks flew everywhere. Upon closer inspection, one would notice that Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan's attacks were thrilling and dangerous. If one was not careful, they would lose their lives. Ta-da! After a while, the 2 of them separated again like a whirlwind. Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a gaze that was more disdainful than before. She didn't expect that this unknown Limitless Palace's young palace mistress who appeared out of nowhere would have some ability. It was reasonable to say that even if her cultivation was suppressed to the 5th level of the Blue Realm, with Bailey Hongzhuang's strength of the 3rd level of the Blue Realm, she would not be able to compete with her. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had managed to hold on despite the disparity in their powers. She had only suffered a minor injury. This was not the result she had wanted. She wanted to defeat Bailey Hongzhuang as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Bailey Hongzhuang's clothes were already torn and fresh blood was faintly seeping out. Even though she was extremely careful just now, the disparity of 2 levels still caused her to be injured. "Master, how are you?" The 3 beasties saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was injured and immediately became concerned. At the same time, they had a deeper understanding of her powers. Chapter 2381. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand, indicating that she was fine. Although she did suffer some injuries, they weren't serious and didn't affect her. Seeing this, the 3 beasties were relieved. However, they stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and glared at Lan Qingyan. When Lan Qingyan saw the 3 contracted beasts in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, she was surprised at first, then the mockery in her eyes intensified. If her judgment was correct, the white demonic beast in front of her should be Bailey Hongzhuang's contracted beast. The other 2 were probably raised by Bailey Hongzhuang for fun. In the cultivation world, there were some women who liked cute demonic beasts and raised them as pets since they were young. However, Bailey Hongzhuang actually brought this kind of demonic beast to the Battle of Zhuolu. Wouldn't it be roasted and eaten? Trash is trash. Even the ones raised are useless trash. Lan Qingyan sneered. When these words came out, the 3 beasties were all enraged. "You ugly freak, how dare you insult me?" Xiao Bai angrily shouted. This fellow had been unhappy for a long time. Now, she actually dared to call them trash? If you didn't steal someone else's rainbow pearl, would you have a position in the Lan family? You really think that you have an extraordinary destiny. Xiao Hei's words were even more thorough. She couldn't stand Lan Qingyan. Everything she had was stolen from her master. Now, she was acting as if she was born with a life of riches and honor. How laughable! After hearing Xiao Hei's words, Lan Qingyan couldn't help but stare blankly. Although many people knew about this matter, as she gradually grew up, there were fewer and fewer people who talked about this matter. Moreover, the Lan family had already sealed off the news. Other than a few well-informed forces, no one else knew about it. All these years, she had continuously displayed her abilities to tell everyone that her, Lan Qingyan, was definitely not inferior to that dead guy. Of course, she was also a little unhappy. After all, she didn't get the Rainbow God Pearl in a proper way. In the Lan family, as long as the Rainbow Pearl was mentioned, everyone couldn't help but think of the dead Lan Yunxiao's family. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's demonic beasts actually said such words. This made her flabbergasted. Wait, these 2 demonic beasts that looked like they were only for ornamental purposes could actually speak? Lan Qingyan looked at Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai in shock. She only suspected that she had heard wrongly. How could this be possible? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were cold. "Whether I'm a waste or not, it's not something a guy like you can say. At least, I don't have such a shameless father and mother." As soon as she opened her mouth, Bailey Hongzhuang's spearhead pointed directly at Lan Qingyan's parents. If it wasn't for what Lan Qingyan and her family had done, how could she have been a waste in the general's residence for so many years? Now, Lan Qingyan called her was a trash. Soon she would definitely trample Lan Qingyan under her feet. Then she would tell everyone who was the real trash. After all, what she stole wasn't hers. Even if she had enjoyed 20 years of glory, it was only a flash in the pan. Lan Qingyan's expression became extremely ugly. This was the first time someone dared to poke her in the back. However, what her parents did was indeed irrefutable. Chapter 2382. I don't need you to tell me what I'm like. At least I'm stronger than you now. Lan Qingyan said angrily. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't comment. The more arrogant Lan Qingyan was now, the worse Lan Qingyan would fall when she arrived at the Lan family. "Master, we can't take it anymore." This brat dares to insult us. Xiao He and Xiao Bai were furious. With their looks, they were often looked down upon by their master, but they had never been insulted like this before. You dare to insult me? I'll let you see how powerful we are. Lan Qingyan found it funny when she saw Xiao He and Xiao Bai, two demonic beasts that looked like they could be killed with one slap, getting angry. Wait until I've dealt with your master, then I'll skewer you and barbecue you. Xiao He and Xiao Bai ignored Lan Qingyan and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang instead. Although they were extremely unhappy with this brat, they had to admit that Lan Qingyan's strength was indeed very strong. If they weren't careful when dealing with her, they might really be in trouble today. With the existence of the Chaos Ring, they could naturally keep their lives, but what about the other cultivators in the team? Therefore, they had no other choice. After noticing Xiao He and Xiao Bai's line of sight, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the other side of the battle. Fortunately, the strength of the disciples of Limitless Palace and the disciples of the Lan family were not much different. At this moment, they were locked in a fierce battle and it would be impossible to determine the winner in a short time. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. She understood that as the Lan family's patriarch, Lan Qingyan definitely didn't lack Earth-rank martial skills. If she used an ordinary martial skill, Lan Qingyan's strength that was 2 levels higher than her would not be able to achieve any effect. Therefore, they had to use an extremely strong move from the beginning, otherwise, they would only be a burden to her. The origin energy in Bailey Hongzhuang's body surged rapidly, and a seal appeared between her hands. At the same time, Xiao He and Xiao Bai also began to move. Lan Qingyan was dumbfounded when she saw that Xiao He and Xiao Bai had reached Green Realm rank 9. These two seemingly harmless demonic beasts actually possessed such strength. It was simply too shocking. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang and her two contracted beasts' identical actions, Lan Qingyan understood that the martial skill they were about to display next was not simple. Immediately after, Lan Qingyan also displayed her martial skill. No matter what tricks Bailey Hongzhuang had up her sleeves, she would crush her ruthlessly. As Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao He, and Xiao Bai's hand seals merged together, a huge 8 trigrams formation suddenly appeared in midair. It spun continuously and emitted a mysterious power. An astonishing power spread out from this 8 trigrams formation, and the origin energy in the air was attracted and continuously integrated into it. Lan Qingyan's movements were also very fast. A dark blue sea appeared behind her. The waves were turbulent and the momentum was astonishing. With just a glance, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that Lan Qingyan was displaying an Earth-rank martial skill. Moreover, it was an intermediate Earth-rank martial skill. The background of the aristocratic families was evident. Lan Qingyan also felt the power of this 8 trigrams formation and her eyes narrowed. She did not expect that the martial skill displayed by Bailey Hongzhuang and her two contracted beasts would be so powerful. Chapter 2383. Boom. The two attacks collided with each other. Black, white, and blue rays of light intertwined with each other. The entire sky was left with only these two colors. The rays of the sun had been completely covered. The terrifying energy continued to wreak havoc, and the extremely ear-piercing sound of the explosion rapidly resounded. In almost an instant, the trees within a radius of a few hundred miles around Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had been razed to the ground. Lan Qingyan and Bailey Hongzhuang's figures had been covered by the raging energy. It was impossible to see their positions clearly. The cultivators of Limitless Palace and Lan family who were fighting could not help but stop when they saw this scene. They looked towards the place where the storm erupted. Everyone's figures flew away. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan's strength was too terrifying. If they did not retreat quickly, their fate would not be much better than the trees. After leaving a certain distance, the cultivators of Lan family looked at the terrifying storm in the distance in shock. They could not withstand this kind of power at all. They did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was so much weaker than Lan Qingyan's, but she was still able to display such a powerful martial technique. It was really amazing. The disciples of Limitless Palace also looked at this scene in shock. It seemed that they had underestimated the strength of their young palace master. They originally thought that their young palace master was weaker than Lan Qingyan by 4 levels and that they would definitely lose this battle. But now, it seemed that there might be a chance to turn things around. After Xiao He and Xiao Bai finished their attacks, they quickly retreated together with Bailey Hongzhuang. The power of their combined martial technique was enough to fight across levels. However, Lan Qingyan's strength was really not to be underestimated, so they had to be careful. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao He, and Xiao Bai retreated, Baisher narrowed his eyes and searched for Lan Qingyan's figure in this raging energy. He did not know how to display the fusion martial technique, so he could not help his master. However, Lan Qingyan's insult to him and his master was something that he could not tolerate. It must make Lan Qingyan pay the price. When Bailey Hongzhuang came out, she realized that Baisher did not come out with them. Her eyes immediately filled with worry. As White Lion's master, she couldn't be more familiar with White Lion's personality. It had always been very protective of its master. Presumably, Lan Qingyan's previous performance had already angered White Lion. However, the impact of these 2 waves of energy was so terrifying that if Baisher were to stay within them, it would be very dangerous. She could not let Baisher be in danger. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang prepared to charge into the energy storm. Xiao He and Xiao Bai could not help but panic when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's actions. "Master, it's too dangerous to go in now. The White Lion is inside." Bailey Hongzhuang ignored Xiao He and Xiao Bai's attempts to stop her. From the moment she formed a contract with the White Lion, she was the White Lion's sister and mother. For so many years, the White Lion had been by her side and treated her as his closest kin. She had long gotten used to it. If something were to happen to the White Lion, she would definitely not be able to accept it. Before Xiao He and Xiao Bai could hold Bailey Hongzhuang back, Bailey Hongzhuang had already charged into the storm. Damn it! Xiao He and Xiao Bai cursed and followed closely behind Bailey Hongzhuang. If something were to happen to Bailey Hongzhuang, then their existence would be meaningless. Chapter 2384. Lan Qingyan's shriek contained both anger and surprise. Caught off guard, everyone was taken aback. The Lan family's cultivators couldn't help but be stunned. Even if the power of Bailey Hongzhuang's martial arts wasn't small, with their understanding of their young master, such an attack shouldn't be something that their young master couldn't resist at all. However, what was with the young master's sudden scream? Before Bailey Hongzhuang could rush into the center of the storm, she saw a white figure rushing towards her. "Master!" Baisher was stunned for a moment when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang. Then he was touched and worried. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately checked on Baisher's condition. There were only a few injuries on Baisher's body. Fortunately, they were not serious. "It's good that you're fine." Xiao He and Xiao Bai also heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Baisher. Even though the 3 of them often bickered and competed with each other, they were all important partners in their hearts. "Let's go." This was obviously not the time to talk. Bailey Hongzhuang and the 3 beasts quickly retreated. Fortunately, they were not in the center of the raging energy. As long as they surrounded themselves with Yuan Qi, they would be able to resist the effects to a certain extent. After retreating from the battle, Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao He and Xiao Bai's gazes fell on Baisher. "Baisher, what did you do just now? What you did was too dangerous." Bailey Hongzhuang frowned, her beautiful eyes filled with worry. Fortunately, nothing happened to Baisher. Otherwise, she would feel guilty for the rest of her life. Baisher naturally knew that his actions were a little impulsive and had worried his master. Instantly, he lowered his head in guilt. As a beast king, his eyesight was not comparable to that of ordinary beasts. Even in the raging energy, he was confident that he could find Lan Qingyan's figure and reduce the damage to himself. However, he did not expect his master to rush in because she was worried about him. It seemed that he could not do such a thing in the future. Fortunately, his master was fine. However, at this moment, Baisher's heart was filled with gratitude. Bailey Hongzhuang could not bear to see how guilty Baisher was. She patted Baisher's head and said, "I know you're doing this for me, but it's too dangerous. Don't do it in the future." Baisher nodded. "I won't let master worry about me anymore." Bailey Hongzhuang's clear eyes were filled with a touch of warmth. Ever since she had transmigrated, the three beasts had always been by her side. Their loyalty and devotion made her feel extremely touched. White Lion, what did you do just now? Xiao He and Xiao Bai looked at White Lion curiously. They knew White Lion's personality very well. For White Lion to suddenly do this, coupled with Lan Qingyan's screams, something must have happened. However, White Lion remained silent. The meaning behind his actions was obvious. You guys will see for yourselves later. Seeing this, Xiao He and Xiao Bai were even more puzzled. It seemed that White Lion had done something extraordinary. Otherwise, why would he be so pleased with himself? As the smoke and dust gradually dissipated, Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan's figures appeared in everyone's line of sight. Bailey Hongzhuang had dodged quickly. Although she had suffered some injuries, they were not serious and did not affect her much. Chapter 2385. At this moment, Lan Qingyan was no longer as aloof as before. Her white clothes were now stained with smoke and dust, and there were a few faint bloodstains on her body. It was obviously caused by the previous battle with Bailey Hongzhuang. However, the crowd did not pay attention to Lan Qingyan's injuries. Instead, they looked at Lan Qingyan's right hand. Lan Qingyan's shoulder was already dripping with blood. The huge wound was so deep that the bone could be seen. Many of the bones were broken. It was obvious that she was bitten by a demonic beast. Looking at the situation, Lan Qingyan's right hand was almost bitten off. At this moment, the crowd finally understood why Lan Qingyan cried out in alarm. Such a terrifying wound must be extremely painful. Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze fell on Bai Shi. So this was what Bai Shi went to do. Bai Shi proudly raised his chin. This Lan Qingyan is so hateful. If I don't teach her a lesson, I won't be happy. If it wasn't for the fact that the storm raged so quickly and Lan Qingyan's reaction speed wasn't slow, her hand would have been completely bitten off by me. As a beast king, Bai Shi's teeth were exceptionally sharp. If it wasn't for the little accident, Lan Qingyan's hand would have been eaten into his stomach. Hearing this, Xiao He and Xiao Bai couldn't help but give Bai Shi a thumbs up. Well done. Bailey Hongzhuang also exclaimed in her heart. She did not expect Bai Shi to not have any reaction before, but with a single move, Lan Qingyan had turned into such a miserable state. Presumably, Lan Qingyan's heart was filled with anger. When the disciples of Limitless Palace saw that Lan Qingyan and the young palace master had turned into such a miserable state after just a short exchange of blows, their battle prowess was greatly reduced. At the same time, they were shocked, but at the same time, they were delighted. Who asked this Lan Qingyan to be so arrogant earlier, which made them extremely unhappy? She really deserved it. Everyone sighed in their hearts. Bai Shi was indeed powerful. He really amazed the world with a single brilliant feat. Lan Qingyan's face was pale. Her anger had already reached the extreme. To her, dealing with Bailey Hongzhuang was an easy task. Who would have thought that she would be seriously injured? The most hateful thing was that Bailey Hongzhuang's contracted beast actually launched a sneak attack. Not to mention her, anyone else would have been hit in this situation. Who would have thought that the demonic beast would suddenly jump out when the energy was raging? Her reaction was considered fast. If she was a little slower, she wouldn't be able to keep her arm. That was something that she couldn't accept. She, Lan Qingyan, had never suffered such a big loss before. After witnessing this scene, the Lan family's cultivators no longer had the intention to continue fighting with the Limitless Palace's disciples. One by one, they stood behind Lan Qingyan. Right now, Lan Qingyan's right hand was obviously unable to move. If she were to encounter any danger at this time, they would have no face to return to the Lan family. The situation seemed to change in a short moment's notice. Naturally, the disciples of Limitless Palace quickly realized the change in the situation. Didn't they turn from a disadvantageous situation to an advantageous one? Bailey Hongzhuang also realized that this was a good opportunity. Taking advantage of the platform of the battle for supremacy to make the Lan family lose face was something that she was happy to see. Chapter 2386. For the current her, the most important thing was to find a place to recover from her injuries. If she continued to be in a deadlock here, it would be extremely disadvantageous to her. Bailey Hongzhuang's previous attack was quite powerful. In addition, she had a contract beast that could attack at any time. Even if she was in peak condition, she would still have to be careful, not to mention now that her injuries were so serious. In almost a split second, Lan Qingyan had already made the decision to retreat. For a gentleman to take revenge, 10 years is not too late. After she recovered from her injuries, she would definitely take Bailey Hongzhuang's life. Thinking of this, Lan Qingyan immediately made a gesture. The cultivators of the Lan family understood and planned to leave. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others naturally noticed this situation. Now that the opportunity was in their hands, they would not let it go. Young Lord Lan, how powerful were you before? Now that you want to leave with your tail between your legs, I'm afraid you have to ask for my opinion? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into an enchanting and sarcastic smile. Her ink-black phoenix eyes flashed with a sharper gaze. No one is allowed to leave. Under Bailey Hongzhuang's command, the disciples of Limitless Palace blocked Lan Qingyan and the others. This sentence corresponded to what Lan Qingyan had said earlier about not leaving a single one alive. However, the two sides had already switched places. Lan Qingyan's face was ashen. She looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a gaze that could not wait to take her life. Unfortunately, the current situation was not suitable for her to stay here for long. Even if she was humiliated, there was nothing she could do. The faces of the Lan family disciples were also extremely ugly. This was a sure-win situation. Now that they had failed, it was too depressing. Bailey Hongzhuang, are you sure you want to be enemies with my Lan family? Lan Qingyan gritted her teeth. She had been arrogant for so many years, but today she was in such a predicament. She even had to show weakness to a cultivator who was weaker than her. Hearing Lan Qingyan's words, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but chuckle. Lan Qingyan, you seem to have already made these assertions before. Now you're asking me again. Do you think I'm stupid or are you too naive? A sentence filled with ridicule was like a ruthless slap on Lan Qingyan's face. Lan Qingyan's pale face flushed red, but in the current situation, she really couldn't think of any other way. Bailey Hongzhuang would not give Lan Qingyan the time to continue feigning civility. Even though there were no other cultivator teams nearby, no one could guarantee that no one would appear in the next moment. Snatch the identity card. Bailey Hongzhuang took the initiative to attack Lan Qingyan after saying that. Kill him while he's down. Bailey Hongzhuang never thought of this as taking advantage of others. On the contrary, she was extremely happy to beat the dog when it was down. The moment he said that, the disciples of Limitless Palace no longer hesitated. They didn't even give the other party a chance to speak as they sent out their martial techniques. Ding ding ding. The battle broke out again at this moment. Bailey Hongzhuang still faced Lan Qingyan. At this moment, Lan Qingyan's right hand was completely unable to move. With Bailey Hongzhuang's medical skills, Lan Qingyan had already taken the elixir at the first moment. However, this injury was very serious. If she dared to move her arm now, her right hand would be completely broken. Chapter 2387. Bailey Hongzhuang's every move was swift and fierce. In a short period of time, her sharp sword had already pierced several holes in Lan Qingyan's body. Fresh blood quickly dyed Lan Qingyan's clothes red. However, the pain on her body could not be compared to the anger in Lan Qingyan's heart. Originally, she used the sword with her right hand. Now that her right hand could no longer be used, she was not used to using the sword with her left hand. However, the strength of a 7th-level blue realm was not just for show. Therefore, she still had the power to resist. Bailey Hongzhuang was not anxious. At this level of strength, if she wanted to kill someone, unless she had the strength to completely crush the opponent, it would not be an easy task. In the next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang used the shadow-shifting technique. Her figure suddenly flashed, and before Lan Qingyan could react, Lan Qingyan's identity card had already fallen into her hands. Bailey Hongzhuang weighed the identity card in her hand. Looking at the words, Lan family's Lan Qing, written on it, the corners of her mouth slowly spread into a smile. According to the rules of the Battle of Zhuelu, everyone's identity card was hung on their waist. In this way, the opponent would be able to know if your identity card had been taken away. If it had been taken away, the opponent would naturally not have the intention to deal with you. After Lan Qingyan saw that her identity card was taken away by Bailey Hongzhuang just like that, she was also anxious and anxious. With her reputation, if her identity card was taken away just like that, wouldn't it be a total loss of face? Bailey Hongzhuang, I'm going to kill you. Lan Qingyan gave it her all. She attacked Bailey Hongzhuang with shame and indignation. She must not lose face. When Bailey Hongzhuang was snatching the identity card, the speed of the Limitless Palace disciples was also very fast. Originally, their strength was on par with the Lan family's cultivators. Once they started fighting, the outcome would not be decided in a short period of time. However, the Lan family's cultivators were thinking of how to escape with Lan Qingyan. Under the situation where one side's momentum was flourishing and the other side's state of mind was unstable, their chances of success naturally increased. In a short period of time, many of the Lan family's cultivators' identity tokens had fallen into the hands of the Limitless Palace's disciples. Looking at the infuriated look of the Lan family's cultivators, the Limitless Palace's disciples were delighted to the extreme. Previously, the Lan clan cultivators were so arrogant that they had nowhere to vent their anger. Now that they saw the other party stomping his feet in anger yet helpless, they only felt that all the resentment in their hearts had been vented. In the previous battle of vying for the throne, the Lan clan's strength had always been at the forefront. Who would have thought that this time, they would be able to obtain the Lan family's identity tokens so smoothly? After the Battle of Zhuolu ended, this would be a great achievement for their Limitless Palace. All these years, the Lan family had often shown all kinds of disdain because the palace master had rejected their goodwill. Once the news of them seizing the Lan family's disciple identity token spread out, the Lan family would really be slapped in the face. At the very least, the Lan clan would no longer have the qualifications to look down on Limitless Palace. Xiao He and Xiao Bai naturally took advantage of this opportunity to shrink their bodies and help the Limitless Palace's disciples snatch the identity tokens. In the midst of this battle, they were already panicking. How would the Lan family's cultivators notice the existence of these two figures? By the time they noticed, it was already too late. Chapter 2388. Lan Qingyan was enraged when she saw that the Lan family's identity cards had all been taken away in a short period of time. You bunch of trash. Her identity card was taken away because she was seriously injured, but the others were also so negligent and stupid. She was furious. The Lan family's cultivators also had unspeakable bitterness. They tried their best to protect their identity cards during the battle, but for some reason, their identity cards fell to the ground by themselves. However, even they themselves couldn't believe it, let alone the young master. Xiao He and Xiao Bai came back after doing all this, as if nothing had happened. They could be said to be extremely proficient in such underhanded means. The Lan family's team also released their contracted beasts, so the battlefield was constantly expanding. The contracted beasts also formed a battle circle. Gotcha! Bailey Hongzhuang's glass sword fell. Lan Qingyan's right arm was completely cut off by Bailey Hongzhuang. Ah! A scream came from Lan Qingyan's mouth. Her eyes were fixed on the arm on the ground. She didn't expect her right arm to be completely cut off like this. However, the next scene made Lan Qingyan collapse even more. That was because Bai Shi's speed was extremely fast. The moment Bailey Hongzhuang cut off Lan Qingyan's arm, Bai Shi had already rushed up. By the time Lan Qingyan reacted, her arm had already been eaten into Bai Shi's stomach. Seeing this, Lan Qingyan was also dumbfounded. This situation was completely beyond her expectations. It couldn't be worse. Before participating in the Battle of Zhuolu, she had already understood the situation of many forces. With her strength, there was basically no danger in this Battle of Zhuolu. However, the Battle of Zhuolu hadn't even started halfway and she had already lost an arm? Bailey Hongzhuang ignored Lan Qingyan's anger and stabbed out with her glass sword again. Compared to the sufferings that their family had endured in the past, Lan Qingyan had only lost a hand. What did that count as? Lan Qingyan quickly dodged, but she could only watch as the sharp blade got closer and closer to her. Her eyes couldn't help but reveal a touch of fear. If she were to die in the hands of Bailey Hongzhuang, that would be something she would not be able to accept. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang's sword was about to pierce Lan Qingyan's heart, a metallic sound suddenly rang out. Ding! Bailey Hongzhuang's sword was hit by a huge force and deviated from its angle. After noticing this scene, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but frown. On the ground, a flying sword was stuck in the ground. Bailey Hongzhuang turned around and looked in the direction where the flying dagger came from. She saw a group of people walking over. The man in the lead was dressed in a green robe. His hair was tied up in a high crown. His temperament was outstanding and he was handsome. He was playing with a throwing knife in his right hand. Clearly, she was the one who had attacked earlier. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the man in front of her. In her mind, she was trying to figure out which force he belonged to. Although she had some understanding of the forces participating in the Battle of Zhuolu, she had no understanding of the style of their successors. Ouyang family. Long Xianjing and the rest had already recognized the newcomers. Their expressions quietly turned ugly. Chapter 2389. This was something that everyone had known about a long time ago. After all, the Ouyang clan and Lan clan had a close relationship. The heirs of the two clans were of similar age. If they could tie the knot, it would undoubtedly be a good thing. Therefore, both the Ouyang clan and Lan clan had such plans. However, Lan Qingyan was arrogant and somewhat dissatisfied. Therefore, she did not get married. No matter what, the Ouyang clan and Lan clan were allies. This could be seen from Ouyang Etienne's rescue of Lan Qingyan. Qingyan, I saved you this time. Ouyang Etienne's face was full of smiles as he walked over gracefully. The other cultivators of the Ouyang clan also had smiles on their faces. Usually, the Lan clan's young master always had an arrogant look. Even towards their young master, he was somewhat disdainful. They did not expect that they would need their young master's rescue. This made them feel very happy. After seeing Ouyang Etienne, Lan Qingyan also heaved a sigh of relief. At least her life was saved. When Ouyang Etienne saw Lan Qingyan's miserable state, his smiling face could not help but freeze. Regarding Lan Qingyan's strength, he could not be more familiar with it. Even if the heirs of various forces were to attack, it would be difficult to injure Lan Qingyan. But now, Lan Qingyan had become like this. Her right hand was gone? If he did not see wrongly, this team was Limitless Palace's team. Could it be that she was seriously injured by Limitless Palace's disciples? This was too inconceivable, right? Stop talking nonsense. Lan Qingyan was very unhappy that her sorry state was seen by others. Help me kill this woman. Lan Qingyan, who was originally very weak, became arrogant again at this moment. The Ouyang clan had always been her Lan clan's ally. Now that Ouyang Etienne was here, it would not be difficult for him to help her take Bailey Hongzhuang's life. Not only that, Limitless Palace's team would be completely destroyed today. Bailey Hongzhuang's face sank. She did not expect someone to come out of nowhere. The Ouyang clan's team was not weak. Once the Ouyang clan and Lan clan's cultivators joined forces, their situation would be dangerous. Moreover, from the way Lan Qingyan spoke to Ouyang Etienne, it could be seen that the two were very familiar with each other. Lan Qingyan, if I help you, how will you thank me? Ouyang Etienne was not in a hurry. There was a faint smile in his eyes. Normally, Lan Qingyan had always been arrogant and disdainful. Today, it was rare for Lan Qingyan to ask for his help. Naturally, he would take advantage of this opportunity to suppress Lan Qingyan's arrogance. However, he had always been very satisfied with a woman like Lan Qingyan who was strong and had a good background. In his eyes, Lan Qingyan would be his wife sooner or later. Lan Qingyan frowned coldly. She and Ouyang Etienne had known each other for so long, so she understood Ouyang Etienne's temperament very well. In fact, among all the young elites she had seen over the years, only Ouyang Etienne was the most outstanding. As long as you help me eliminate the people from Limitless Palace, I will consider marrying you. During this period of time, her family had been telling her about this matter, and she had gradually accepted it. Although she had opinions from time to time, In the eyes of ordinary people, Ouyang Etienne was already a rare and perfect husband. Chapter 2390. Although Lan Qingyan's arm was gone, Ouyang Etienne didn't care. With the Lan family's means and Lan Qingyan's status in the Lan family, this severed arm would definitely grow back. What's more, Lan Qingyan had been famous for a long time. Among the younger generation of women, there was probably no one who could compare to Lan Qingyan. In addition, Lan Qingyan was naturally beautiful. Because of this, he was so patient with Lan Qingyan. Listening to Lan Qingyan's words, Ouyang Etienne turned around and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. When he saw Bailey Hongzhuang for the first time, even the experienced and knowledgeable Ouyang Etienne couldn't help but praise in his heart. What a peerless beauty! Previously, he only saw Bailey Hongzhuang's back and only thought of Bailey Hongzhuang as an ordinary disciple of Limitless Palace, so he didn't pay attention to her at all. But now, looking at the woman in front of him, whether it was her appearance or temperament, she was peerless and unique, making people's eyes light up. Lan Qingyan was already one of the top beauties, but the woman in front of him was clearly more beautiful than Lan Qingyan. Even though she had a cold face at the moment, her elegance and refinement carried a kind of coldness that repelled people thousands of miles away, making people want to get closer to her. How come he hadn't seen such a beauty before? Lan Qingyan was looking forward to Ouyang Etienne fiercely teaching Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson to avenge her. But when she saw Ouyang Etienne staring at Bailey Hongzhuang in a daze, she couldn't help but feel even more embarrassed. From the first time she saw Bailey Hongzhuang, she knew that this woman was a threat. She had always been very confident in her appearance, but after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, she also felt a bit of jealousy. Just from this point alone, she could tell. The disciples of Limitless Palace were on guard. If they were to fight 1 against 2, it was almost impossible under such circumstances. So, the only thing they could do was to protect the young palace master with their lives. The life of the young palace master was much more important than their lives. No matter what, they couldn't let anything happen to the young palace master. However, after seeing Ouyang Etienne's reaction at this moment, they were both nervous and amused at the same time. Anyone who saw the young palace master's appearance would be stunned. Even if they had been training with the young palace master for so many days, they still couldn't help but take a few more glances at the young palace master. "Are you a disciple of Limitless Palace?" Ouyang Etienne asked. Limitless Palace's young empress, Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang revealed her identity. She wanted the other party to understand that they were equals. As soon as this was said, Ouyang Etienne's reaction was the same as Lan Qingyan's earlier reaction. He also did not receive any news and did not know that Wuji Palace also had a young palace master. "I didn't know that Limitless Palace had a young palace master." Ouyang Etienne looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with interest. To be able to injure Lan Qingyan to such an extent, to have the countenance of a flower, and to be the young palace master of Limitless Palace. Logically speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang's name should have been known by everyone. Most importantly, he felt that this Bailey Hongzhuang's name was somewhat familiar. However, he couldn't remember where he had heard it before. "Our young palace master didn't come back until the Battle of Zhuolu. What's so strange about you not knowing?" Pei Yifan said. Chapter 2391. While Ouyang Etienne was sizing her up, Bailey Hongzhuang's mind was constantly thinking of a way to leave. In this situation, if they left directly, Lan Qingyan would definitely not let it go. Moreover, the Lan clan's cultivator identity card was still with them. However, no matter how much she thought, there was no way. The situation in front of them was a dead end. As long as Ouyang Etienne and Lan Qingyan cooperated, they would most likely fall into a situation where they would be completely wiped out. Even if they risked their lives to leave, the team was bound to suffer heavy losses. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but feel anxious. If she couldn't solve the situation, she could only take the risk and use the Chaos Ring. Once she used the Chaos Ring, the special power of the Chaos Ring would be exposed in front of everyone. In this way, she would fall into an even more dangerous situation in the future. However, under such a dangerous situation, she had no other way. She could only take one step at a time. After all, She couldn't watch the disciples and the team be completely wiped out like this. This was the first time she appeared in front of everyone as the young palace master of Limitless Palace. If she ended up like this, it would be terrible. What's more, Long Xianjing and the others were extremely outstanding disciples in the sect. In the future, they would most likely be the mainstay of the sect. She didn't want Limitless Palace to suffer such a big loss. Lan Qingyan saw that Ouyang Etian had been looking at Bailey Hongzhuang with interest but didn't make a move. She couldn't help but feel angry in her heart. Ouyang Etian, why aren't you making a move? Lan Qingyan said angrily. She knew that men would act the same way when they saw beautiful women. However, she, who had never been ignored before, was actually ignored now. This was simply unbearable for her. Listening to Lan Qingyan's words, Ouyang Etian finally recovered from his thoughts. Such a beauty, he really couldn't bear to make a move. Although Limitless Palace was established for a short time, everyone knew that Limitless Palace's strength was absolutely not weak. Thinking about it, once the world knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was the young palace master of Limitless Palace, there would be more people chasing after Bailey Hongzhuang than Lan Qingyan. Because, no matter from which angle, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't weaker than Lan Qingyan. It was because of this that he hesitated. However, this hesitation only lasted for a short time, and Ouyang Etian had already determined the answer. The relationship between the Ouyang clan and the Lan clan had always been very good. The matter between him and Lan Qingyan had long been discussed. On the contrary, Limitless Palace and Lan family were two completely opposite clans. Therefore, no matter what kind of thoughts flashed through his mind at this moment, he would ultimately stand on Lan Qingyan's side. He could only sigh inwardly that it was a pity for such a great beauty. Qingyan, I will avenge you right now. Ouyang Etian drew his weapon, and his eyes turned from pity to fierceness. At the same time, his men behind him also entered battle mode. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the change in Ouyang Etian's eyes in a short period of time and sighed in her heart. Sure enough, he was worthy of being the successor of the Ouyang family. This change was really fast and decisive. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.